Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I just wanted to start with like an opening question. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey, what you do, and your experience, and anything that you want to share.
Of course. I graduated from UMass Amherst in 2018, where I double majored in theater and journalism. So I received both my degrees there.
Mhm.
And I also was a Commonwealth Honors College member, and I also received a multicultural practice certificate. So did all that in 2018. Went on to do some administrative assistant work at Bridgewater State University, but still acting full time as a performer, as an artist. And I eventually became Miss Massachusetts USA in 2020. So being an actor, being a pageant queen, an artist, a performer, just an overall performer of the arts in general. Um, Art is like my love language. And right now, I am currently in my second year of a 3-year graduate program at Columbia University, and I am getting my MFA degree in acting.
Awesome. And how did it all start? Like, how did you start acting? When did you realize that art was such a big part of your life? I feel like I'm an artist myself. I love theater. I've been doing it my whole life. I'm majoring in entertainment management, so I'm doing more of like the production side now. But when did it all start for you? Like, how did you feel that calling? Was it when you were younger? Was it at UMass, something that like really inspired you?
Well, congrats to you. That's really
Thank you.
I grew up in a very, I think, encouraging family when it came to the arts. I grew up in the Haitian church where I would sing, Haitian hymns. I'd be in the chorus in church, and my love for acting specifically didn't really hit until seventh grade when I took my first acting class in middle school. At that time, it was more so just a hobby, something that I really enjoyed doing, but I didn't think anything about doing it professionally. And then I got to high school where I attended Brockton High School in Brockton. It's one of the biggest high schools on the East Coast. And they have a really amazing fine arts program. I owe a lot of my success, just a big part of my journey begins there at Brockton High School with Robert Hogan and Matt Cunningham, who helped run the fine arts department. Just amazing individuals who pour so much into their students. And I've even gone back, just to help volunteer and work with the students there myself once I became an alumni. And I remember my senior year of high school, we did Guys and Dolls, the musical. I was Adelaide, and I was just like,
It's a good
this
one.
is it's a fun one, And I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I really think I can see myself doing this and making a career out of it. And because I want to do what I'm passionate about in this lifetime. So I decided to study acting in undergrad. And it's just been a big passion of mine ever since. And I've grown more as an actor, as a performer, which is why I chose to also come back to grad school because I really wanted to perfect my craft. I care so much about the art of it. And I even, was able to bring my art into my reign as Miss Massachusetts USA. With that platform, I was able to share my platform of performance activism, speaking your truth, using your art to speak to things that are happening in the world and in our society, globally and locally, bringing arts to marginalized communities, to young children and students who have never experienced art before. And I'm really grateful just to have had that platform because it also showed me what kind of work that I want to do as an artist.
Absolutely. That was also my next question, which is perfect. I was going to ask about performance activism because I was looking into your website and a little bit about yourself. And you talk a lot about performance activism and sharing multiple different stories, different backgrounds. So I was going to ask you to kind of tell what it is, but you already did that. So I was going to ask, when did you decide that that's what you were going to do with your art path? Like when that became such a big part of your work?
I think in undergrad at UMass Amherst,
Mhm.
I was on track to receive the multicultural theater practice certificate, which is something you can get through the theater program. And it's
Mhm.
hosted by Priscilla Page, who's an amazing professor and advisor and facilitator at UMass Amherst. And through that, getting that certificate, you would take a lot of courses that directly spoke to just theater through a multicultural or an ethnic lens. So we would take like Latinx writing,
Okay.
learn about Black writers, just queer writers, plays, theater, just theory, and learning like how all of those different kinds of identities intersect in art. it was just so eye-opening to me.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, going through like those classes and like a lot of those classes were, dramaturgical requirements that we had to take as theater majors, but you could also just take regular English, plays, or just there was a lot of different options, but that really forced me to specifically take those classes.
Mhm.
And it was just so eye-opening. I decided that for my honors thesis, my senior year at UMass, I wanted to stage and produce my own play, but I wanted to do it through a lens of multicultural theater. So I staged a show that was featured all Black actors, and it directly aligned with my thesis research, which was, I don't remember what it was called. It was like Black acting methods through like African ritualistic tradition, which
Wow.
sounds very, what is going on? But it was so eye-opening. And from that moment on, I was like, I want to make art that speaks to stories, that helps people whose voices have gone unheard, like to bring light to those voices, to teach people about places that they don't know about, places in Australia and Africa and Hawaii and just even in the US, like to learn more about, the communities out there that we don't talk about, the impoverished communities or the queer community. And when I started my pageant journey, that was when I really was able to put the kind of art that I wanted to create into like words, into a tagline. And that's where I kind of came
Yeah.
up with performance activism, because I think I am an activist through my art.
That is awesome. Oh, that is all very, very, very
A
cool.
long-winded.
No, that is so cool. What are some of the challenges that you face? And I'll make it a two-part question. I imagine that there are a lot of challenges that come with being a performant activist. I feel like sometimes mainstream like entertainment like overpowers such important messages that people want to share that we want to share. So I'll ask what are some of the challenges that you face, but also what's the most rewarding part that comes with overcoming those challenges.
I think a lot of the challenges have made themselves particularly clear to me in grad school,
Hmm.
um, because it's just such a bubble that I'm in right now with my classmates. I'm in a class of 16 people, the
Okay.
same 16 people for 3 years, class
Wow.
together with our esteemed and super brilliant faculty, and just the work that we're given to work on. It's important to get an overall range of the talent that you can bring to the table, of embodying different characters, different time periods and whatnot. But there are certain times where I'm like, I'm not necessarily interested in telling that story, or I feel like that's not really my story to tell, but I get why I need to learn it, why I need to
Mhm.
build like the foundation and have all of these pieces, because then I can eventually get to a place where I know that I don't want to necessarily tell that story, but I want to tell this story. And like you said, mainstream media, it is something that you have to think about, because if I do want to be, an actor ultimately and a performer, I have to think about, how am I going to sustain myself financially and make this a career, while also holding true to like my integrity and what I'm passionate about. So there is a fine line of like having to feel out the pulse of the world around you, and what do they want to see on their TV screens, what do they want to watch. Sometimes people just want a good sit down comedy, they don't want to think deeply, they don't want to think about the state of the world, they don't want to cry, they
Yeah.
don't want, but I also still think you can be joyous and you can be engaging and exciting and entertaining, while still being honest and teaching someone something, and they might not even know that they're learning. So that's why I try to like set boundaries or rules for myself and say, okay, if I do book this gig, or if I book this show, or if I book something, I need to make sure that at least 50% of the room is diverse, or I need to make sure that the material is speaking directly to like, not maybe directly to my passion, but it's something that I can get behind, and it's somebody else's passion. So just trying to navigate like that middle ground.
I think that, yeah, making like goals for yourself, like smaller goals that are more achievable and with baby steps, like changing where we're going with entertainment and things like that. Um, so that's gonna lead me to the next part of this like conversation. We started this project for Women's History Month. So I wanted to ask you, like, as having been Miss Massachusetts and being an artist, what does Women's History Month mean to you and to your art?
To me, Women's History Month is a celebration of women from all over the world, from all backgrounds, from all identities, from all walks of life. Whether you are a woman who's been considered to make a really big impact in the world, or if you're just a woman just navigating the world around you, like I think they are all important. So I obviously salute those who have come before me, who have paved the way for me, like, Harriet Tubman, Madam C.J. Walker, just woman, Maya Angelou, woman that I look up to, and Tazaki Shange, who I feel like have paved the way for me to create the kind of art that I want to create, to take up space in the kind of way that I want to create. But I'm also saluting, the women who I don't know, who live across the continent, who get up at 6 a.m. and they have to walk miles to get water for their family. Like I think it's a celebration of just the beauty of what a woman is, who she can become. Also, the beauty of celebrating that being a woman is, that definition can mean something different to so many different people, and that we need to think about race and gender, ethnicity,
Mhm.
sexual identity, all of those things when we think about who and what a woman is. And I think that it makes me feel the same way about Black History Month. I love that there is a month that we celebrate ourselves, but I'm also just like, we should be celebrating all year
All
long,
year. Yeah, 100%.
encapsulating it into one little month. And also, Women's History Month always reminds me that while we are celebrating women, there's still so much more that we need to keep working towards and striving towards, which is like equality for all women, better pay for all women, pushing against like violence in all forms against women, and believing women, protecting women. So it always just reminds me, like, I have this body that I occupy, and while I operate with many privileges, but I also remember that I am a Black woman. I'm a Haitian American Black woman. I'm the daughter of immigrants. So it just reminds me about all the identities that I hold, and how much I cherish the ability that I have to use my voice, to use my power as an artist, as a speaker, just just to share that message with people and remind them like why we as women are important, and we run the world. Or
Absolutely.
one day we will.
Yeah, 100%. And if you had to give advice to young women, not just young women, young people that are watching this interview, and that want to follow a similar path to yours, that want to be artists, that want to be activists, that want to change the world at their own capacity, what would you say to them?
I actually just talked about a little bit of this, say yesterday. Yeah, I was at UMass, and I was speaking on a panel at the Woman of Eisenberg business
Mhm.
event. And the panel was called Owning Your Voice. And I was able to speak a lot to like how to build self-confidence and how to tackle like imposter syndrome. And I think imposter
Big
syndrome is
one.
a big, we as women struggle with, people in general struggle with, like, not believing you're good enough to be where you are, even if you worked really hard to get there,
Yeah.
or you allow other people or outside noise to make you feel less than, when you do deserve to be exactly where you are. You do deserve to take up space, to occupy space. So I would encourage, young people, women, men, whoever watches this or listens, I would encourage them to not be apologetic in taking up their space. Yes, you can practice humility and you can practice being like respectful, but like you need to walk into a room and you need to demand the space, demand attention, not in a showy or cocky way, but just knowing like if I worked hard to get to where I am in my life, or I worked really hard to become an expert on this specific thing that I care about, that I'm passionate about. I worked really hard to get that promotion. I worked really hard to win that crown, win that title. I'm not going to let anybody take it away from me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let anyone stop me from taking a risk and going out for the thing that I feel like maybe isn't for me. I never in a million years saw myself as someone's queen of whatever, queen of the state, queen of the world. I never saw that for myself. But I said, you know what, Sabrina? You love to act. You like a stage. You're pretty comfortable on a stage. Why not just try your hand at this pageant, get on the stage. The only difference is you have to be your authentic self. You're not playing a different character, you're playing yourself now. So that's the challenge. So if anything, it really forced me to step into like a vulnerability that I was not used to, and it was so rewarding. It was
Hmm.
so rewarding. It's like I had to let go and just trust myself fully in that journey. So I just want to encourage, young people to do the same, and also become as you are, who you are. When I competed in pageants, I competed with my natural hair, which was something that I was a little nervous about
Hmm.
because that's not usually stereotypically what you would imagine a pageant queen to look like based on what we've seen in the past. And by me embracing myself naturally and authentically, I was able to inspire so many other young women. They would hit me up on Instagram, they would email me and say, "Thank you so much, Sabrina. Because of you, I'm competing in a pageant with my natural hair. I just got a haircut. Thank you so much." And I was like, win or lose, that's the impact that I'm trying to make and that I want other
Made it
people
all
to
worth
make too.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine how challenging that was because especially like you had been acting your whole life and then now suddenly you're entering something that you're doing the complete opposite. You're being yourself and competing as yourself. I can imagine how challenging that is. I feel like I haven't met a single artist out there that doesn't suffer from imposter syndrome. So that's very, very moving to hear that you took that step and you went for it and it just affected so many people.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, what were some of the challenges? Like you talked about your hair. Was there anything else that was very different from being in the pageant that you didn't expect to be challenging or
Like I said, my hair, and also, being a brown skinned girl, at least around the time that I started competing, there was like a new emergence of brown women, women of color competing, which was really exciting for me because I never felt alone per
yeah.
se, but I did have those moments of doubt of like, are they going to give it to me? And if they do, is it because they're trying to fill a quota? Or, like, as a woman of color, like, no matter what you're doing, whether it's a pageant or whether it's stepping into the interview for a job, or you're stepping into an audition to book a role, you're going to have those feelings of self-doubt, inherently, just because of like society and systemic racism and microaggressions, and like how all those things can like just bring you down as a human
Yeah.
and as a person. So I really had to fight against that. um I felt like I never felt like someone was against me or not, or wishing for my downfall. If anything, like I was my own enemy at times, and I just had to remind myself, like, Sabrina, there are people out there who want to see you win, and they
Mhm.
support you and they love you and they want the best for you, so you just have to want that for yourself. So those were like probably the main challenges, but other than that, it was actually a very empowering and uplifting experience. The stereotype that pageant women are catty and they're mean and they're scary, it's like I have never met one mean pageant girl in my life. Not, I'm not saying that they're out there, because I have script ideas in mind. I'm an artist. Like I have to think about these things. But the woman I met, like some of them have become my best friends. They were so uplifting. These women are doctors and scientists and veterinarians and lawyers and architects, just so accomplished and amazing woman who I learned life lessons from. So I'm grateful for pageantry and what it did for me and the time that it came into my life. When I won, it was 2020, when the world, kind of ended, and there was a health pandemic, there was a racial pandemic, there was so much going on. So I
Yeah.
couldn't help but to really think about, why was I crowned at this specific time? And I had to tell myself, it's because you could handle it at this time, Sabrina, and you need to use your platform. You only have it 4 years. So what are you going to do in that year? What are you going to speak to? What are you going to leave behind? Like, what legacy do I want to leave? So I'm grateful that everything happened the way it happened, even though it was a struggle, it was stressful, but everything happens for a reason.
I got literal chills right now. That's incredible. Wow. Um, well, thank you so much for joining us. It was really, really great to meet you. You're such an inspiration for so many people out there. Thank you for taking your time to talking to me
so exciting. I thank you for thinking of me. I again that imposter syndrome thing. Sometimes when I forget that I've done the things that I've done and I am who I am. So when like things like this happen, I'm just like, man, like I just feel like a regular, like that regular girl
No,
from
I was
Brockton.
nervous. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm meeting this woman and she's so incredible. I was like,
Thank you for your great questions. I had so much fun.
thank you so much again. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yay.